Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Jay. I said in a previous video that I did 85, maybe 75% of all my work orders with just two tools, a pair of pliers and a multi-screwdriver. This one says 11-in-1, but back in the day it was a 6-in-1 was the best I could get. And I legitimately would do 75% of everything I did all day long with these two tools. Stick them in your pocket, don't need a tool bag, just front pocket, these two tools, doing all my work orders. That has progressed to me carrying a tool bag after several years. But when I started out, this is what I had. So if you're new to the business, if you're a new maintenance tech, or if you're just a new homeowner and you want to know what should I start with, what kind of tools do I need, just get you a multi-screwdriver and a pair of pliers, and you can do about everything that you need to do in your home and the work orders that you'll get at work. Now, it will eventually go into needing specialty screwdrivers and pliers, and so I thought, well, I should do a video on screwdrivers and pliers. And why would I do a video on screwdrivers and pliers? That sounds boring. I don't know what I would say about them. It's going to be maybe just a short video. I'm not real sure how to go through all of the screwdrivers and pliers and why anybody would care. And then I thought, screw it. Get it, because it's a screwdriver. And never mind. So anyway, let's dive right in let's start with screwdrivers. All right, so screwdrivers was invented flathead. Now I'm going to talk about the flathead first. So flathead screwdrivers was invented probably, the way I read it, was 15th century, along with the slotted screw. They were made by blacksmiths, and they were used mostly by people who built armor for knights. That's how they held the armor together, was this rudimentary screw and a screwdriver that they built themselves. There's not much to tell you about the history of it other than, you know, it stayed that way for many, many, many years. Then later on, more modern days, is they made them out of better material, and they, you know, made them for more specific reasons. You know, this screwdriver does this particular job, and this screwdriver is made out of a better material. I have an assortment of screwdrivers in front of me here, just to demonstrate some of that. Like I said, when I started out, I got a 6-in-1. This one actually says 11-in-1. This one's made by Klein Tools. We all know Klein is a good tool maker, high quality steel being used. And the reason it's 11-in-1 is because you can pull the tip out, and it has two sizes of tips, has a Phillip on this side and a large flathead or slotted on that side. Then once it's pulled out, you have a nut driver that this fits into. And that's how you start counting how many pieces this thing does. Because on the other side, this one has another insert that you pull out with tips on both ends. Now I happen to have a T-wrench, head on this side, that's for appliances, and a square head on this side, also in some appliances. And then you get your bigger size nut driver there. And then that's how you get 11 out of this. It's very useful, very handy, because it does more than one thing. And so that's why this is like something I could carry in my pocket and get multiple uses out of. The screwdrivers, the flatheads, are made out of different materials. As we just saw, I said Klein was a good material. I'm not sponsored by anybody, and I'm not calling anybody out, but I have a screwdriver here. I'm just going to tell you the truth. It's made by Stanley, and the tip broke off of it. Let's see if I can, if you want to look at that. The tip broke off. I put it in, snapped it right off trying to use it. So this is a low-grade metal here. And then, of course, Klein. Here's a big one, so maybe you can see a little better. makes a very good tool because they use good metal in it. So it'll last a long time. Now, if you're going to get your screwdrivers and you're new to the business and you don't really need to be getting specific screwdrivers, what I would highly suggest you do is get multi-packs. You know, go to the box stores or the big supply stores, the depots, you know, and all those stores, and get your multi-packs of screwdrivers. That way you'll have a variety of screwdrivers, because what you'll find out is that screwdriver gets you on something large, as you know, in the opposite, this tiny screwdriver, you know, for the smaller screws. They're not interchangeable, and they come in, you know, multiple different sizes. I'm drawing a blank there because I was in the wrong section, but the tips, the slotted tip ends, come in different sizes. So different screws will take different screwdrivers, and you know, if you put a small screwdriver on a large screw, it'll twist, it'll come out, and you won't be able to stay on it very well. So that's why having a multi-pack will be more helpful than if you just started one at a time buying screwdrivers. The slotted screwdriver you'll also have a tendency to use for other things, so I suggest to get a few that are you know, larger, because you'll use them for prying and you'll use them for wedging, for driving. Hopefully you don't use it as a chisel, but I do suggest to get different kinds of screwdrivers. And I called out Stanley and said that this little screwdriver snapped off, but now I'm sitting here looking at it as I was just speaking to you. I was looking at, this is a Stanley, and this is a very well-made screwdriver. It even has on the base of it down here near the handle, it has a place where you could actually slide a box-in wrench on to give you more of a torquing power to it. All right, so screwdrivers are made differently. When you're starting out, get you a multi-pack and get you this one's by Milwaukee, but get you one of the multi screwdrivers that come apart and have different ends on it. It's very helpful. This one even has a small hole right at the base where you can stick a piece of wire in and then turn it to make a hook on the end of a wire when you're doing electrical work, when you're placing outlets and switches. That's extremely helpful. So that's the flat-headed screwdriver or slotted screwdriver. Let's move on to the Phillip head screwdriver. Now, the Phillip head screwdriver is the one that looks like either an arrow tip on the end of it. It comes to a point. It was originally called the cross head screwdriver because it resembled, when you push it into something, it would make a cross, or a hex head screwdriver. The guy that invented this, his name was John Thompson. He was an auto mechanic, and he thought, you know, it would be a whole lot better if my screwdriver didn't slip off of the head of these screws all the time and having a hard time holding it in place. So he invented the Phillip head screwdriver. Now, the reason John Thomas invented the Phillip head screwdriver and he patented it in 1932, he couldn't sell it. He wasn't a salesman, he was a mechanic. So he didn't know how to sell it. He didn't know what to do to get sales or where to market it or how to market it. So he sold his patent. And guess who he sold his patent to? Henry Phillip. And Henry Phillip bought the patent from Mr. Thompson in 1933, and he immediately, I started saying invented, but he opened up a factory called the Phillip head factory, and he made Phillip head screws and Phillip head screwdrivers, because what good is a Phillip head screwdriver without the Phillip head screw? So he made the Phillip head screw and the Phillip head screwdriver, and what was good about the Phillip head screw and driver is that it had twice as many points of contact. When you're twisting the screw, you have twice as many points of contact, and it doesn't want to slip or slide to the sides like a slotted would. it stays in the middle and it hangs on to it. Now, fortunately, he went to the Cadillac factory and he convinced the Cadillac factory to try out his screws and screwdriver, and they apparently they loved it, and it made its debut in the 1936 Cadillac. And so from then out, it was inevitable. Anyway, everybody started using it. So that's how we got the Phillip head screwdriver. Everybody started using it, and it's just grown from there. Now, what's the difference? You have the same issue as you do with slotted screwdrivers about what material it's made out of. The higher quality materials last longer. The tips don't break off. As we know, tips can still break on Phillips screwdrivers. So that's a great part. And then the other part is the Phillips screwdriver works differently on Phillip head screws. In other words, if you took a large Phillip head screw and you tried to use a little Phillip head screwdriver tip, I try to line it up with my beard so you can see, because it's my white background. It slips right out. It slips right out. But when you find the right screwdriver for the right screw, it fits perfectly and it really digs in, and it makes a big difference in it. Now, let's see if I can find a difference to be able to show you. There's a difference between, let's say, this Phillip head screwdriver and this Phillip head screwdriver. You can tell, let's get it in my beard, you can tell that the tips, this one's larger and this one is way smaller. So this larger one wouldn't even fit good into a small Phillip head screw, and then this one would slip out of the large Phillip head screw. So it's still the right tool for the right job. You want to find the right Phillip head screwdriver to go into the correct Phillip head screw that you have. That makes a lot of sense to me, and that's why I would get the multi-packs, because you'll get different ones. Now, let's talk more on, specialty tools, because now they make screwdrivers for very specific reasons. This screwdriver only does this job. I have this screwdriver here it has a slotted on one end and it has a Phillip head tip on the other end. That's great for working in thermostats with the very small screws, and most of them are kind of recessed up into the plastic. So you're not going to use a large screwdriver on that. It's just not going to fit, And then you have screwdrivers like this. This is rated for high voltage. This one actually is made by GB Tools, and it's rated for 10,000 volts. It's insulated all the way down to the very tip so you don't accidentally bump something in a breaker box. So very specific purpose for a very specific tool. Speaking of which, I have this slotted screwdriver, and you can tell that it has a grabber tip on the end of it. And this is, all it says on the end is, it does say something on this other side. It says all trade with a trademark beside it. This is a auto mechanic screwdriver, and it is for brake jobs, and it grabs a spring on the brake caliber. So a very specific screwdriver for a very specific tool. You can't use, you ain't gonna roll in there with a Phillip head or a narrow, long shaft, screwdriver. I've shown you this one before. This has a curve in it, an S curve in it, and it's good for, creating a drilling type. You can drive plate screws in. That's what I use it for, driving plate screws in and out. So that's what I found out about the screwdrivers, and my deal on the screwdrivers is you need to get different kinds. So buy the multi-packs. Now let's move up to the pliers. I did look up the pliers, and the pliers, research shows that it was invented somewhere around 3000 BC. So you add another 2,000 on the side of that. So it's made 5,000 years ago. Wow. It was invented by blacksmiths, and they used it. They used different kinds of pliers. They made them themselves, obviously, and they used them to hold on to the hot metals as they worked, you know, in their craft. They needed something to hold those real hot metals, so they invented the pliers. Now, pliers come in all different shapes and sizes. You know, like I said, most of the work you're going to do in apartment homes or homes, just a small set will get you by just about 75 to 80% of what you need to do. A small set of channel locks. This is actually referred to as a slip joint because I did look this up. So you can do most of your jobs with this, but then again, like I said with the screwdrivers, go get yourself a multi-pack. That way you'll have different sizes. You'll get a good size here that helps with the plumbing under the sink there, you know, and get you a mid-size, you know, they're an extension of your hand. Basically, if you do this, that's what pliers will do for you. I use this a lot. It has a curve in it, and they're pretty long needle nose, and you can reach down into a garbage disposal and retrieve items out when a garbage disposal is clogged. Different pliers do a lot of different things, and these are even considered pliers, even though they're called dikes, and all they do is cut wire, but they still work in the same fashion that a pair of pliers do, with the handles and an end that does something. You've got everything from slip joint pliers. They call this slip joint because it only has, you know, a slip in and out to make it larger. And then you have, you know, your needle nose of all different sizes. Even these wire strippers, I would consider needle nose pliers on the end of them there. So that's why I put them out here. And then you have your locking vise grip pliers that open up, you know, and then you have the twist knob on the end to adjust the size, and then you can lock it into place and hold on to something. Now I'm going to tell you a secret about vice grips. I have a pair of needle nose vice grips here, and I can't tell you how many times I have tried to clamp these on to a nut and turn the nut because I want to hang on tight and then I will turn it. Now these things will roll off of that. You can I don't know if you can see it or not, but they're kind of offset where I've been doing that so much. It doesn't work. I've tried it many times, and it just doesn't work. My suggestion for pliers, again, is get you a multi-pack. Start with a multi-pack of pliers and a multi-pack of screwdrivers. Then get this particular style of screwdriver, whether it be Klein, whether it be, you know, the Milwaukee, you know, get you one of these multi-screwdrivers. That will help you a lot, and then you can go from there. I did want to bring this. I saw this when I was gathering my pliers up. I am an appliance repairman, and this set of pliers here does one job. And when the teeth, let's call them teeth are apart there, but when you squeeze it together, they grow farther apart. All right, this does one job, and what this is for the washing machine that has the door in the front, and then you have that rubber gasket all the way around. Well, if you'll peel back that rubber gasket lip, you'll see that there's a wire that goes all the way around it, and there's a spring in the ends of it. And then you'll put these pliers in that spring, and you'll open it up, and what it'll do is just loosen that whole wire up. Then you can pull that wire out from around the rubber seal, and then the rubber seal can come out. So that I call them pliers, but they have one job. They take the rubber seal off of a washing machine door. So that's my spiel on pliers and screwdrivers. I just wanted to do it because I had mentioned that I was using one kind, but I wanted to let you know, yes, that's what I could put that in my pocket and do that all day long, but I do need to have other things if I'm getting into more specific jobs. So as a matter of fact, I want to give you a challenge. I want you to just put a small set of pliers. If you do work orders all day like I did, if you're a maintenance man somewhere, small set of pliers and the multi-screwdriver. Put that in your pocket and try to do all your work orders all day long with that. Try not to go get anything else and see if you can do it. Challenge yourself, because sometimes it is a challenge to get it all done. So thanks for watching the video and giving me the opportunity to explain this. If you like the video, if you want to see more stuff, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit that notification button. You'll know when I do put up another video. I do plan on getting into appliance repairs and other home projects. I even have this this project you see behind me, that wood stove install. I'm working on putting that together to put that on this channel. But if you'd like to see more things like this, I'd welcome you to come back and we will go on this journey together. Thanks and have a great rest of your day.